Okay, I want you to try and visualize something for me. I know you're probably driving or walking or doing dishes, but just for a second, clear your mind. Close your eyes if you can. Imagine the stars are gone. Every single one of them.
Okay.
The planets are gone. Turn off the sun.
Total darkness. Got it.
Keep going. Turn off the vacuum of space itself. Delete the concept of, distance, delete time, no ticking clock, no yesterday, no tomorrow.
No before, no after.
Exactly. What is left?
You're asking the question, aren't you? The absolute beginning, the ultimate existential cliffhanger.
Yes. And usually when we ask what was there before the Big Bang, science, it kind of throws up its hands and says, singularity. The math breaks down. Don't ask.
Right. It's the event horizon of knowledge.
It is. But today, we are doing something a little different. We were taking a deep dive into a reconstruction of the cosmological timeline based on a fascinating theological transcript. We're going to try and map the prehistory of the universe.
And it is a heavy topic. I mean, we're effectively looking at a biography of reality itself.
A biography of reality. I like that.
Yeah, from the absolute void through the engineering of the first matter, the angels, the jinn, and then finally the arrival of humanity.
And what struck me about the material we're working with today, which is a transcript of a lecture series called The Beginning of the End, is that it doesn't treat this as just a fairy tale.
Well, not at all.
It presents it as a structured, almost legalistic sequence of events. It blends texts from the Quran and prophetic traditions with some surprisingly logical arguments to explain not just how we got here, but why.
And that is the key distinction right there.
Yeah.
Most cosmology, it focuses on the mechanics. Gravity, expansion, heat, electromagnetism.
Yeah, the how.
This source material, it accepts the mechanics, and we'll see some really interesting overlaps with modern science later, but it focuses on the intent. It posits that you, me, and everyone listening, we aren't just random accidents clinging to a rock.
Right, spinning in a cold void.
We are the climax of a very long, very deliberate story.
So let's go back to that first exercise, the void. The source poses the question, where was God before he created anything?
Right, and the answer provided is, it's stark. It says, God was, and nothing was with him.
Nothing was with him. That is hard for a human brain to process. We're so used to stuff. I mean, even empty space is stuff, right?
Yeah.
It has dimensions. It has potential.
Precisely. The text argues that space, time, and matter are all created variables. They are things God invented. Before them, there was only the Creator. And this leads to the first major theological pillar the source establishes,
Which is?
the concept of algany, or absolute self-sufficiency.
Okay, unpack that for me. Because in a lot of mythologies, Greek, Norse, even some ancient Near Eastern religions, the gods create things because they're bored or they're lonely. Zeus needs people to rule over. Otherwise, he's just a guy with lightning bolts and no target.
Right. They need an audience. Or, in some sci-fi tropes, they need worship energy, like a battery to stay powerful. This text rejects that entirely. It argues that God did not create the universe to complete himself. He was already complete. He didn't become the creator when he made the universe. He possessed the attribute of creation eternally.
So why build it? I mean, if you're perfectly happy sitting in a void of non-existence, why go through the trouble of making a universe? Especially one that, as we'll see later, is going to be filled with bloodshed, rebellion, and heartbreak.
To manifest the attributes. That's the core argument.
What does that mean, to manifest?
Well, you can't manifest mercy if there is no one to receive mercy. You can't manifest forgiveness if no one ever makes a mistake.
Okay, I see.
You can't manifest provision if there is no one who needs food. The universe, in this view, is essentially a canvas or a mirror to reflect the names and attributes of God.
Okay, that makes sense. It's an expressive act, not a needy one. It's like the difference between an artist painting because they have a vision inside them
Yes.
and a narcissist posting a selfie because they need likes.
That's actually a surprisingly accurate analogy, yes.
So we have the void. Then creation starts. And I assume, like most people, that the first thing created was the Big Bang. A particle, light, something physical.
You would think so. That's the logical starting point for our minds. But the source takes us into a really interesting scholarly debate here. There's actually a difference of opinion on what the first object was.
The first object, wow, like the prototype.
Exactly. Some scholars say it was the throne, some say it was water because the text mentions his throne was on the water. But there's a very strong opinion, which the host of our source material leans into heavily, that the first created object was a pen.
A pen.
A pen.
Like a ballpoint, a quill.
A writing instrument. Alqalm is the Arabic term.
That is so unexpected. Not a sword, not an explosion, not a spark of energy.
A pen. And I think this is one of the most profound insights from this entire deep dive. Just think about what a pen implies.
It implies language, it implies recording, it implies thought, a plan.
It implies intellect and design. If the first object is a sword, the universe is built on conflict. If it's an explosion, it's built on chaos. But if the first object is a pen, it means the universe is built on knowledge.
It means we live in a text-based reality.
Yes.
That sounds a lot like simulation theory. You know, the idea that we're living in a giant computer program, the code comes before the graphics.
It is very, very close to that concept. The text narrates that God created the pen and gave it a single, simple command. Write.
And the pen, which is a sentient object in this narrative, it asks, what shall I write?
It does. And the response is, write what will exist until the hour.
Until Judgment Day.
Yes, write everything. The orbit of every planet, the lifespan of every star, but also the specific trajectory of a single leaf falling from a tree in the Amazon rainforest 3 million years ago.
It recorded that.
The pen recorded it. The exact spot a specific raindrop will fall in a storm next Tuesday. It's written.
Okay, stop. Because you just triggered a massive philosophical trapdoor.
I know exactly where you're going.
If the pen wrote down that I was going to drop my coffee mug this morning, and it wrote that down billions of years before the Earth even cooled, then I didn't choose to drop the mug.
Right.
The pen did it. I'm just an actor reading a script I didn't write. If everything is pre-recorded, aren't we just robots?
This is the ancient paradox of Kadar. Destiny versus free will. And you are right to bring it up because the source material spends a lot of time on this. It's the most common objection people have to this theology.
Of course. If it's written, don't blame me.
The devil made me do it
Right.
becomes the pen made me do it.
Yeah. It seems like the perfect excuse for any bad behavior.
It does. But the source offers a very nuanced rebuttal to this. It argues that there's a massive difference between making something happen and knowing it will happen.
Okay, give me an analogy, because that sounds like splitting hairs. How can you know what I'm going to do without somehow forcing me to do it?
Okay, imagine a teacher, a veteran teacher. She's been teaching the same math class for 30 years. She sees a student walk in, let's call him Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't do his homework. Jimmy sleeps in class. Jimmy stares at the wall. The teacher, based on her vast experience, writes in her private notebook,
Jimmy is going to fail the final exam on Friday.
right. She's making a prediction, an educated guess.
A very educated guess. Now, Friday comes. Jimmy fails. Now, did the teacher force Jimmy to fail because she wrote it down?
No.
Did the ink in her notebook reach out and magically erase his correct answers?
Of course not. She just predicted it based on observation. She knew his character, his habits.
Precisely. Her writing was descriptive of his choices, not prescriptive of his actions. She knew what he would freely choose to do.
Okay.
Now, elevate that to a divine level. God exists outside of time. For him, there's no waiting for Friday to happen. He sees the beginning and the end simultaneously. So when the pen writes that you will drop your coffee, it's writing it because God's knowledge encompasses the fact that you will choose to be clumsy or distracted at that moment. So the writing is just a record of my future choices, not a script forcing my hand. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like watching a replay of a game that hasn't happened yet for us, but has already happened for the observer.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the source uses a famous historical anecdote to hammer this point home. It involves Omar bin al-Khattab. Do you know who that is?
He was the second caliph, right, known for being really tough, very strict on justice.
Very tough, but also incredibly sharp intellectually. A thief was brought to him to be judged. And this thief was clever. He tried to use this exact theological loophole.
I can see it coming.
He says to Omar, wait, I only stole because of God's decree. It was written by the pen. You can't punish me for fulfilling my destiny.
That is a bold legal defense. My destiny made me do it. I wonder if that would hold up in court today.
It's the ultimate not guilty plea, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Omar didn't even blink. He ordered the thief's hand to be cut, which was the penal code at the time. And he said, and we cut your hand by God's decree.
Oh, wow. Touché.
It just cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? He's saying, yes, the theft was known to God and therefore destined, but so was the punishment. You use your free will to steal. I'm using my free will to uphold justice. Both our actions are known. You don't get to use theology to escape responsibility for your choices.
That's brilliant. It puts the responsibility right back where it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
There's another philosophical point the source touched on that I found hilarious but also kind of mind-bending, the baker analogy.
Ah, yes. This is addressing that infinite regress problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, If God created the universe, then who created God?
Right, it's the question every 5-year-old asks and every parent dreads.
The source compares it to a loaf of bread sitting on a shelf in a bakery. Imagine the loaf of bread turns to the baguette next to it and asks, I wonder if the baker is also baked at 350 degrees for 45 minutes.
It's absurd. The baker isn't a muffin. He's not made of the same stuff.
Right. It highlights the logical fallacy. The laws of the created, like time, space, heat, and the concept of being made, do not apply to the creator. The baker isn't made of flour and yeast. God isn't made of time and matter.
He invented those things.
He created them. So to ask who created the creator is like asking how much does the number 7 weigh, or what color is jealousy. It's a category error.
So we have the pen, we have the plan, the code is written, but we still need a compiler. We need to actually render the graphics. We need the physical universe.
And this is where we move from, let's say, the architect's blueprint to the construction site, from the pen to the hammer, so to speak, the engineering of the universe.
And the source transitions to the 6 days of creation.
Yes, which is a concept most people know from Genesis, and the Quran mentions it too. But the source asks a question here that I thought was really insightful.
Let me guess. If God is all-powerful, if he can just say be and it is kun fayakun, why take 6 days?
Exactly. Why not 6 milliseconds? Why the delay?
Seems inefficient for an omnipotent being.
Right, if you're omnipotent, efficiency should be infinite. But the source argues that the goal isn't efficiency, it's education. The wisdom behind the 6 days is to teach humanity a universal law. Gradualism. Patience and process. Nothing meaningful happens instantly. Look at biology. A fetus takes 9 months to develop. Could God create a full-grown adult instantly? According to this theology, yes, of course, but he chooses growth. A seed takes years to become a tree. A mountain takes eons to form.
So the 6 days were a tutorial for us, a cosmic object lesson. Don't rush.
Exactly. The message is, if the creator of the entire universe took his time, who are you to demand instant success? It dignifies the struggle of slow progress.
And the source also points out that days here doesn't mean Monday through Saturday.
Of course not. The sun and the earth didn't even exist yet, so a 24-hour cycle is completely irrelevant.
So what are they?
The source brings in relativity. It mentions how a day on Jupiter is 10 hours. A day on Venus is longer than its year. So the word day, or yom in Arabic, just means a period of time. A day to God, according to verses in the text, could be 1,000 years or counting, or even 50,000 years.
So these are epochs, geological eras, not calendar days.
Precisely. And speaking of geological eras, this is where the source makes a really cool connection to modern science, the Big Bang.
I was waiting for this.
It references a specific verse from the Quran that describes the heavens and the earth as being a joined entity, a single mass. The Arabic term is ratku.
Ratku.
Yes. And it says that God then separated them, or fatku.
Ratak and Fakyu.
Yeah.
A joined entity that was then separated.
What does it sound like to you?
It does sound a lot like a singularity and an expansion, a Big Bang.
The source fully accepts the scientific theory of the Big Bang as being compatible with the text. But it adds that crucial theological layer. Science says it exploded. Theology asks, who pulled the pin? The source argues the explosion wasn't random or chaotic. It was a deliberate unstitching. Think of it less like a bomb going off and more like a cosmic tailor ripping a theme to create a beautiful garment. It was controlled, intentional violence.
And once this universe is expanded and engineered, the source describes it as being furnished. I like that word. It wasn't just built, it was furnished for a guest.
That's the human-centric design argument. The source points out that if this were just a survival chamber, we'd get water and a nutrient paste.
Like astronaut food, just the bare minimum to keep the heart beating.
Exactly. But look around us. We have colors, we have scents, we have seasons, we have thousands of types of food, spicy, sweet, sour, savory. We have sunsets that serve no biological function other than to be breathtakingly beautiful.
The luxury argument.
It's the difference between a prison cell and a 5-star hotel. Both give you shelter. But the hotel implies the guest is honored, welcomed, and important. The source argues that the sheer beauty and variety of the universe is evidence that humans are intended to be caliphs or stewards, not just biological accidents.
We're the VIP guests for whom the house was prepared.
That's the idea.
So the house is ready. The VIPs are on the way. But before the human guest arrives, there were other tenants in the building. We need to talk about the pre-human inhabitants.
We have 2 main categories here mentioned in the source, the angels and the jinn.
Let's start with the angels, because I think pop culture has really messed up our image of them. We think of chubby babies with wings on Valentine's cards, or maybe a nice lady in a white robe.
Right. The source paints a picture of them that is, well, honestly, it's terrifying in its grandeur.
How so?
The defining characteristic of angels in this text is absolute, unwavering obedience. They have no ego. They literally do not have the capacity to disobey. They are creatures made of light and duty.
But do they have personalities? Or are they just organic robots programmed for one task?
Their personality is their function. They love obeying God. It's their sustenance, their joy. And the numbers mentioned in the source are just staggering.
Tell me about the frequented house.
The source mentions a place in the heavens called Al-Bayt al-Mamur. It's a celestial counterpart to the Kaaba on earth, the holy site in Mecca.
Okay.
It says that 70,000 different angels enter it every single day to worship. And once they leave, they never return because there are so many of them waiting for that turn.
Wait, 70,000 new angels every day? Since the beginning of time.
Exactly. The number is meant to be incomprehensible. It highlights the infinite scale of God's dominion. He doesn't need humans to worship him. He has countless billions of angels doing it perfectly. 247.
Which, again, makes the creation of flawed humans even more confusing. If you have perfect servants, why build imperfect ones? But okay, before we get to us, there's the other group, the jinn.
The jinn are completely different. They were created before humans, but unlike angels who are from light, they were created from smokeless fire or scorching wind. And crucially, like us, they have free will.
They can choose.
They can choose to obey or disobey. They have egos, they have societies, families, religions, they have conflicts.
And apparently they didn't use that free will very well, at least not initially.
No. The source references a view that the jinn inhabited the earth long before Adam and caused massive corruption and bloodshed. They essentially trashed the place.
And this is used to explain a famous dialogue later on.
Precisely. It explains why, when God announces he's creating humanity, the angels ask, "Will you place upon earth someone who will cause corruption and shed blood, as was done before?"
The angels were traumatized. They saw what the jinn did with their free will, and they assumed the new tenants would be just as bad.
They were looking at the precedent. They saw free will lead to chaos. They couldn't understand why God would want to repeat that experiment.
Now, we have to talk about the most famous character from this pre-human era, Iblis, Satan. The source clarifies something I think a lot of people get confused about. Was he an angel who went bad? A fallen angel?
No. This is a major theological distinction in this source material. Angels cannot fall. They don't have the hardware for it, so to speak.
So what was he?
Iblis was a jinn.
A jinn. So how did he get up there hanging out with the angels?
He was a fascinating case study. He was a jinn who was so pious, so worshipful, and so knowledgeable that he was elevated. He was promoted. He rose through the ranks until he reached the status of the angels and mingled with them. He was in the celestial court.
He was the teacher's pet, the valedictorian of the jinn.
He absolutely was. And the source uses Iblis as a powerful cautionary tale, specifically for people who consider themselves religious or devout.
How so?
It's a warning that knowledge and rank and acts of worship mean nothing if you have arrogance in your heart. You can be in the company of angels, you can have all the knowledge in the universe, and still fall if you think deep down that you are better than others.
So the stage is set, the universe is built, the angels are watching, the jinn have made a mess of things, Iblis is feeling pretty good about himself up in the heavens, and now God decides to create his masterpiece, Adam.
The creation of Adam is described with such tactile, earthy detail in the source. God ordered the angels to collect soil, a handful of soil from all over the earth.
Not just from one place.
From everywhere. Red soil, black soil, white soil, soft soil, rocky soil.
Which explains why we all look different, right? The diversity of humanity.
Exactly. The source draws a direct line between the soil and human diversity. We have white, black, red skin-like different clays, but the source goes deeper into psychology. It says the nature of the soil affects our personalities.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
Some soil is soft and fertile. The source says those are the easygoing, productive, gentle people. Some soil is rocky and hard, and those are the stubborn, tough, difficult people.
I love that. Sorry, I'm not being difficult. I'm just granite-based.
Less. It's deep psychology rooted in our very creation. So this form of Adam, this clay statue, was shaped and then left to dry. It was a hollow shell.
And this is where the story gets really cinematic. Iblis gets curious about this new thing.
He does. You have to imagine this being a fire walking around this lifeless statue of clay on the ground. He inspects it. The source says he tapped on it.
Like kicking the tires on a new car?
Exactly like that. And he heard it ring hollow. And in that moment, he realized something crucial. This creature is not solid. It's empty inside. He made a strategic assessment.
He found the vulnerability.
He did. He concluded, this creature is weak. It's prone to desires. It needs to fill that emptiness with something. He spotted the design flaw or the design feature immediately.
He knew where the weak points were.
He knew exactly where to aim his attacks later. In fact, the source quotes a saying of the prophet that connects directly to this. Whoever can control what is between the jaws, meaning their speech and their appetite, and what is between the legs, meaning their chastity, is guaranteed paradise.
Because those are the hollow points Iblis identified, the core vulnerabilities.
That's the interpretation.
So the body is ready, but it's lifeless. Then comes the soul, and then the upgrade.
The knowledge upgrade. This is pivotal. God didn't give Adam claws like a tiger or wings like an eagle to make him superior. He taught him the names of all things.
What does that mean, the names? Is it just vocabulary, like this is a rock, this is a tree?
It's much deeper than just labels. It implies conceptualization. Understanding the nature of things, the properties of things, the potential of things. Language, science, art, it's all bundled in that.
The capacity to learn.
The capacity to learn and categorize and understand. And God then sets up a test to prove Adam's worth. He shows objects to the angels and asks them, tell me the names of these, if you are truthful.
And the angels, these powerful ancient beings of light.
They couldn't. They said, glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. They are specialized beings. An angel in charge of rain knows everything about rain, but nothing about botany.
But Adam could name them all.
Adam could, and this established the hierarchy. Human superiority in this cosmology isn't based on physical strength. Angels could crush us. It's not based on piety angels are perfectly obedient. It's based on intellect, the ability to learn and synthesize new information.
That's a huge ego boost for humanity, but it's about to cause a major problem in the celestial court.
The grand bow.
Yeah. God commands the angels and Iblis, who is present there with them, to bow down to Adam.
And it's clarified, this is not a bow of worship, but a bow of respect and acknowledgement of this new status.
The tension in this moment must have been insane. The angels, being programmed for obedience, they bow immediately, no hesitation. But Iblis
freezes. He refuses.
Yeah.
And his logic, the reason he gives, is the birth of a truly toxic ideology. He says, I am better than him. You created me from fire and him from mud.
It's the first instance of racism.
It is exactly that.
Yeah.
The expert analysis in the source points this out very clearly. Iblis attributed worth to his material origin fire is higher and brighter than dirt, rather than attributing worth to God's command.
He let his ego override his obedience. He became a materialist.
He did. And that's the moment he falls. He goes from the VIP section, the highest echelons, to being cursed and expelled. He threw it all away for pride.
And this triggers the vendetta. Iblis doesn't just walk away sad or defeated. He vows to destroy this creature that he feels replaced him.
He asks for a reprieve until the day of judgment, and he vows to mislead Adam's offspring. He specifically threatens to attack them from in front of them and behind them, from their right and from their left.
That sounds terrifyingly comprehensive. He's surrounding us.
It is. The source notes that his core motivation was jealousy. Adam had free will, just like the jinn, but was being honored above him. It was pure, corrosive envy.
So Adam is alive. He's honored by the angels. He's been given knowledge, but he's alone.
Yes, despite all the luxury of paradise, Adam felt a void, a loneliness. He was the only one of his kind, and this leads to the creation of Hawa, or Eve.
And how was she created?
She was created from Adam's rib while he slept, so that when he awoke, he would see someone from himself, a companion. The source mentions her name. Hawa comes from the root word for living, and she was created to be a saki, a dwelling, a comfort, a place of peace for his soul.
So now they are together in paradise. They have everything they could possibly want, except that one tree.
The forbidden tree. The rules were simple. Eat anything you want, enjoy everything, just don't go near this one tree.
Enter Iblis, the whisperer. He finds a way back into the picture.
He enters the garden. And here is where we see the sophistication of his attack. He doesn't just march up and say, hey, disobey God. That's too obvious.
So what's his angle?
He frames it as helpful advice. He says, shall I guide you to the tree of immortality and a kingdom that never ends?
He hits the two biggest human pain points. Fear of death and the desire for power. Even in paradise, Adam wanted more security.
It seems so. Iblis exploited the human desire for permanence. And then he uses the ultimate trick, the first ever oath. He swears by God that he is a sincere advisor to them.
That's so low, using God's name to lie.
And you have to remember, Adam and Eve had never encountered a lie before. The concept didn't exist for them. It didn't occur to them that someone could swear by the Creator and be dishonest. They trusted the oath, not the liar.
So they eat the fruit.
They both eat. And the reaction is instantaneous. The source says their hidden parts, their nudity, became apparent to them. They immediately felt shame and scrambled to cover themselves with leaves from the garden. The innocence is gone.
Now, this is the part of the deep dive that really struck me. The contrast between how Adam reacted to his sin and how Iblis reacted to his.
This is the core moral lesson of the entire creation story, according to the source. Both disobeyed. Iblis refused to bow. Adam ate the fruit. Both broke a direct command. But look at the response.
Iblis just doubled down on his arrogance.
Iblis blamed God. He said, "Because you have sent me astray." He justified his pride, he played the victim, he refused to repent, and in fact, he became more defiant.
At Adam.
Adam and Eve immediately took responsibility. They didn't say, "The snake made me do it," or "Iblis tricked us." Their first words were, "Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves, and if you do not forgive us and have mercy upon us, we will surely be among the losers."
That's the divergence. One makes excuses, the other makes amends.
Exactly. And the source argues that this is why Earth exists as it does. It isn't a punishment cell. It's the land of repentance.
Yeah.
We are here because our father admitted his mistake. Iblis is cursed forever because he justified his.
That's a powerful reframe. We aren't here just to suffer for some ancient crime. We're here to learn how to say, I was wrong.
Precisely. It is the defining human characteristic that separates us from the path of arrogance.
So humanity descends to Earth, and it doesn't take long for things to get violent. We have to talk about the first crime. Cain and Abel.
Kabil and Habil, the sons of Adam. The source explains the mechanics first. Apparently, Adam and Eve had twins in every pregnancy, a boy and a girl. To populate the earth, a brother had to marry a sister from a different set of twins.
Okay, that keeps the gene pool slightly wider in the beginning.
Right. Now, there's a lot of folklore that they fought over a beautiful woman. The source explicitly rejects this. It says the conflict was purely about accepted sacrifice. It was about their relationship with God.
They both offered something to God.
Yes. Abel was a shepherd, and he offered the best of his livestock, a fat, healthy ram. Cain was a farmer, and he offered his worst produce, the rotten, withered stuff he didn't want anyway. A fire came down from the sky, which was a sign of divine acceptance in those times, and it consumed Abel's offering, but completely ignored Cain's.
And Cain just couldn't handle the rejection.
Envy again. It's the same disease that afflicted Iblis. He couldn't stand that his brother was favored. He confronts Abel and says, "I will surely kill you."
And Abel's response is shockingly pacifist. I honestly struggle with this part. He says, "If you should raise your hand against me to kill me, I shall not raise my hand against you to kill you." Why? Is he just weak? Is it a failure to defend himself?
No, the source argues it's a position of immense spiritual strength. He follows it up by saying, "Indeed, I fear God, the Lord of the worlds." Abel refused to escalate. He refused to be the one to introduce the sin of murder into the world. He essentially said, "If there is going to be a sin here, you will carry the weight of it alone. I will not participate."
That is heavy. But Cain goes through with it, the first death, the first murder in human history. And then he's just stuck with a body. He doesn't even know what death is, really, or what to do next.
He's confused. He's walking around carrying his brother's corpse, not knowing how to conceal it. And this is where the crow comes into the story.
Right.
God sent a crow that started digging up the ground, perhaps burying another dead crow or some object to teach Cain the rites of burial. It's a poignant moment. It shows that even in humanity's darkest moment, even after the worst crime imaginable, God still provided instruction and mercy.
So humanity has started. We have murder, we have envy, but we also have righteousness in people like Abel. This leads us into the procession of prophets. The source moves through history pretty quickly here, but there are some key stops.
It establishes the lineage of guidance. Seth, or Sheath in Arabic, succeeds Adam. The source mentions he received 50 scriptures or instructional pages from God. Then comes Idris.
Idris, whom the source says was the first man to write with the pen.
And the first to sew clothing. It shows the evolution of civilization happening alongside divine revelation. Idris was a prophet who warned against the corruption that was starting to fester in the lineage of Cain.
But the corruption spreads. Idolatry starts to take hold. And this leads us to Noah.
Noah, or Nu, is a major turning point. The source distinguishes between a prophet, Nabi, and a messenger, Rasul.
What's the difference?
A prophet reinforces the previous law. A messenger brings a new, comprehensive code of law, usually because the people have deviated so far that a simple reminder isn't enough. Noah was the first messenger.
Because things had gotten so bad, a total reset was needed.
Exactly. Idolatry had taken root. People were worshiping righteous men who had passed away. And the source tells a very modern anecdote here to explain the mindset of idolatry. It describes a Japanese man bowing to a Buddha statue, and he claps his hands first.
Right, to catch its attention. I remember that part. The host of the source asked him, "Why do you need to catch a god's attention?"
And the man's logic was, well, he might be busy. He might be thinking about something else. The source contrasts this limited view, a God who gets distracted, with the Islamic view of an all-hearing, all-seeing God who never sleeps. Noah's mission was to bring people back to that direct, unlimited connection.
But as we know, the people refused, which led to the flood, a global reset for humanity.
Correct. And from the survivors of the flood, we eventually get to the heavyweight champion of prophets, Abraham.
The father of prophets.
Yes. The source describes him as an ummah, a nation in one man. His story is crucial because the prophetic lineage splits through him. He has two sons, Ishmael and Isaac.
And this basically explains the family tree of the Abrahamic religions.
Yes. From Isaac, you get Jacob, who is also named Israel, and from him come the children of Israel. So Moses, David, Solomon, and Jesus all descend from Isaac. From Ishmael, you get the Arabs, and eventually the final prophet, Muhammad.
And this source argues that despite this split in lineage, the core message was always the same.
Absolute unification of the message. The source insists that Moses, Jesus, Abraham, they all brought Islam in its literal sense of submission to the one God. The laws changed, maybe dietary restrictions or prayer styles differed based on the needs of the time, but the core theology was identical.
Which brings us to the end of the line, the final link in the chain. The seal of the prophets, Muhammad.
The final messenger. And the source uses a really striking time analogy here. If you take the age of the universe, about 14 billion years, and you compress that into one single calendar year.
Okay, so the Big Bang is at the stroke of midnight on January 1st.
Exactly. Dinosaurs might appear in mid-December. All of recorded human history is in the last few minutes of December 31st. In that scale, the time from the arrival of Prophet Muhammad until now. It is just the last 3 seconds before midnight.
Wow, that really puts things in perspective. We are living in the end game.
We are in the final chapter. And for this reason, the source emphasizes that Muhammad's mission is universal. Unlike Moses or Jesus, who, according to their own texts, were sent to specific tribes or times, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Muhammad was sent to the American, the French, the African, the Chinese, everyone until the end of time.
And the source makes a very big deal about the preservation of the text, because if this is the final message for the final few seconds of history, you'd really hope it doesn't get corrupted or lost.
This is a key claim. The source discusses the isnad, or the chain of narration. It's a science of verifying historical reports. It tells a story about a famous early scholar of prophetic traditions named Yahya bin Ma'in.
Okay.
He caught a student dozing off during one of his lectures. When the student woke up, he tried to quickly write down what he missed by copying from his neighbor. And Yahya saw this and forbade him. He said, "You cannot narrate this."
You didn't hear it directly from me, so you can't write it down in my name.
It illustrates the intense rigor. You can't narrate what you didn't witness or hear directly. The source contrasts this meticulous oral and written preservation with previous scriptures, arguing that the Quran is the only text preserved with that level of unbroken, peer-reviewed historical verification.
So what does this all mean for us, for the listener? We've gone from the pen writing our destiny in a void to the heat death of the universe being just around the corner. We've seen angels, demons, the first murder, and a long line of prophets. What's the takeaway?
The source ends with a powerful message of identity. He tells the listener, "You are not a random speck of dust. You are a caliph. You are the result of a deliberate cosmic plan that spans billions of years. The universe was furnished for you. The angels bowed to your ancestor. You matter. Your choices matter."
That's a heavy responsibility. If we're the VIP guests, we better not trash the hotel room.
It is. And the final provocative thought the source leaves us with is this. The earth is the land of repentance. Adam, our father, was sent here because he admitted his mistake. Iblis, the enemy, fell forever because he justified his arrogance.
So the question is, which path are you walking on today? In your life, in your arguments, in your mistakes?
The path of admission, or the path of arrogance.
That is definitely something to think about tonight. This has been a deep dive into the theological history of the world, according to our source material. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.